This is a battle in the Use It and Lose It tournament. Greek Iraklis, a name that should be well known to people who have been watching not just Rome 2 tournaments, but just Total War tournaments period for a long time. Very good player, but also a very peculiar player. And peculiar in the way that he does things that most people won't even consider trying. He was the one who perfected the pike YOLO. He was the one who perfected the pike box. But he can also play very well with conventional armies. And I asked him about this. I asked him, why do you always like to bring the Greeks? Why do you always like to bring hoplites, pikes? It's the hardest armies to use. And he was like, well, I'm Greek. And I like that. I like that a lot. So here we have Horatius commanding Pontus and Iraklis commanding Colchis. So still keeping with the Greek theme. This is where things get weird. He has a total of 4 infantry units. More about that later. So for Pontus, we have Pontic swords. A total of, we have only 3 Pontic swords. 1 Eastern spear up front. Mercenary Celts. Cappadocians. Eastern slingers. Pontic peltasts, interesting choice, and a front line of pikemen and bronze shields. The nice thing about having a bronze shield pike is that it will boost the morale of any units in their vicinity, and morale can be a problem for the pikemen. For Colchis and Iraklis, we have a mix of a weird Colchis army. We have 1 Cartly Axeman, we have 3 Colchian nobles. For cavalry, he has noble bloods, so worse than the Cappadocians. Then he has Eastern slingers and 4 horse archers. Both of these armies are peculiar. They are very strange. This is not your typical Pontic army with a total of 5 pikes. I'm sure that will make some of you happy. Then we have Eastern slingers. That's a fairly standard choice, but the Pontic peltas have also kind of fallen out of favor for Pontus, and they are a decent unit. They are a situational unit. They can be extremely powerful against the right targets being cavalry, elephants, chariots, or into the backs of enemy infantry. They can also take a beating because they have quite a bit of armor, 65 armor actually, but like a few of the other Pontic mid-tiers, like the let's see here, the bronze shield pikes have good health values, but the Pontic swords have a very low health value of only 50, which is 5 lower than mercenary Celtics. Now Greek Iraklis is being aggressive with his horse archers, pushing them up on the flank. This is the shielded side though of Pontus, so I'm not quite sure why he chose to push them up on this particular flank. I don't quite get that, but the Pontic swords are turning around and now they're getting hit in the shielded side. But they're in the forest, so it's not that much of a problem for them. Only 35 damage on the horse archers for Colchis. And that 5 difference compared to they're more expensive too. More expensive than mercenary Scythian horse archers. And mercenary Scythian horse archers, very good. These guys are also decent, but only 35 meta damage is a bit of an issue. Only 1 slinger to ward them off. Putting the Eastern spears up front here is a good idea. It will make it a bit harder to focus the pikes down with Eastern slingers. Pontus finds itself in the peculiar position now of having the infantry superiority, but having a hard time using that infantry superiority because the infantry superiority consists mainly of pikes. So Pontus pulls back a bit, wants to move up, put some pressure on the horse archers, which is good idea. Iraklis cannot engage with his army head on. He had some more infantry than what we saw earlier, so he has 2 Cartly Axemen and 4 Colchian nobles, so it's a bit better than what I originally thought, just by what I could see here. But he's going to need to skirmish a lot before he even thinks about engaging Pontus here. Now the Colchian nobles will slaughter Pontic swords. The Kartli will slaughter Pontic swords. So Pontus will have to do a lot of damage with the skirmishers. Now the Eastern Slingers are taking a bit of fire here, but this is risky because of the range of the Eastern Slingers. At some point, these horse archers are going to get tired if they don't rest. And if they get tired, they're winded already. So they're going to be slower, and then it's going to be easier for cavalry units to catch them. And perhaps more importantly, it's going to be easier for Eastern Slingers to hit them, because they're moving slower. These Eastern Slingers, however, could just get charged by the horse archers, and they will be off the field. Let's see if Iraklis decides to go for it. He goes for it. Nope, pulls away because there's Cappadocian cavalry coming, but it did get him some good shots into the Eastern Slingers. Still not using heavy shot though. So this means the Cappadocians now get hit, returning. They get hit a bit in the back. And this is one of the peculiarities of Iraklis. He will be very patient, and he will make trades that, at least to me, don't immediately make sense. Like using the ammunition on 4 horse archer units to kill Eastern Slingers, to kill 1 Eastern Slinger, when there are all of these pikes to deal with, when he has so many foot skirmishers for the same purpose. Let's see how it works out for him, because I've played a bit against Iraklis, sometimes the weird things he does works very well, sometimes it doesn't, but I've seen it work more times than I've seen it not work. But I don't know how much he's played, how much Rome 2 he's played lately. The game hasn't changed that much though, since Emperor Edition basically. A few changes here and there, but nothing that alters the game in a major way, I think. So 5 minutes in, only a few guys dead. I'll fast forward. Iraklis is going to keep skirmishing a bit around the flanks. The Eastern Slingers are not facing the horse archers, so the horse archers could get free shots here. They get shots off, but they're not completely free. They do, however, bait javelins on these Pontic peltasts, and now they're firing into the backs of the Pontic peltasts, and that will kill some Pontic peltasts, even though they're not using heavy shot, because quite a bit of their armor is on the shield. 0 missile block chance means that they're guaranteed to take some damage at least. Now the heroic Levy Freeman of the Eastern world, the Eastern Spearmen, pushing up the center. Let's see if these guys are actually going to be firing at the Eastern Spearmen. The Eastern Spearmen turn around, so they're going to take more damage than they would otherwise. Now they turn and face them, so yeah, the Slingers should probably not waste a single shot on these Eastern Spears. But it seems like they are doing just that. Horse archers, 22 kills, 20 kills. Haven't really lost anything on these horse archers, and they're doing a bit of hit point damage on several units here, and this may not seem like much. It's not like he's obliterating entire enemy units with this, but if each unit loses a few men, loses some hit points, that can have dramatic results in when the melee engagement happens. And this is the spaghettiest of spaghetti lines I have seen, I think. And it's smart. It allows him to not get outflanked, and he has the cavalry support to stop the Pontic cavalry. The horse archers do not want, and these Pontic peltasts not killed a single horse archer, and they've lost quite a few men. And men lost is ammunition lost. So here comes the noble blood into the Cappadocians. We have the Kartli X-Men throwing their precursors, killing a single noble blood cavalry. These Pontic swords are closer, so they're going to get more kills on the Cappadocians. On the noble blood, I mean. Noble blood cavalry is going to lose out in the end to Cappadocians. They just have better stats. But now, instead of supporting directly here, you'll see Kartli X-Men going up against Pontic swords, should do a good job there. You have Colchis nobles coming up against the combined, against the Pontic swords here, should do well there. The Eastern Spears are off the field currently. Now the Cappadocian cavalry pulls out and gets a second well, this is another Cappadocian, but it gets a charge in against the noble blood and the Colchian nobles. Nicely done there. The mercenary Celtic warriors off the field by a noble blood cavalry charge. Nicely done there, as long as the noble bloods can get away from this Cappadocian cav. And here you see the Pontic swords just losing decisively against Cartly axemen. Needs to be a bit careful here. These horse archers are about to be in range, so if they don't move, it's going to be wreck city, but they move. So on the flanks here, this noble blood cavalry should get out of the engagement as soon as possible, and this noble blood cavalry as well, because it's not trading well against the Cappadocian cavalry. Now it pulls out a bit too late. It's under missile fire. The Colchian nobles just do not care about engaging pikes. They managed to get into the rear of the pikes, so nicely done there by Iraklis. Another unit, Cartly axemen got charged by the Cappadocian cav. The follow-up from Pontic swords and mercenary Celts could be devastating. Now the Pontic peltasts are in melee with the horse archers, so bit of a mismarker there by Iraklis, I think. Cartly axemen getting rear charged. Here we have the noble blood cavalry coming in to support the fight. Now, using the rest of the horse archers here to get into the eastern slingers. Nicely done there, getting some use out of his horse archers. On the flanks, the noble bloods hold off the Cappadocians, but that's all that can be expected of them. Colchian nobles destroy Pontic swords, but now they're running into Pontic peltasts, and they, although they have a good missile block chance, they are going to lose men from these volleys. Now the Pontic peltasts, it seems like they are not going to retreat here, and then they're going to get wrecked. Now they're pulling back. So, charging into eastern spears here with horse archers, they might have been out of ammunition. That might have been the case, I'm not really sure. Here we have the Colchian nobles just standing around, pikes marching slowly against them. And while that is happening, Cappadocian cav in the back lines of Iraklis, chasing after his eastern slingers. This is not good. The eastern slingers don't have a lot of kills. But we have a noble blood cavalry rushing in to support. Same thing happening over here. The Cappadocians are free and they're getting into the eastern slingers. Very dangerous. Here we have a Cartly axeman doing a good job against Pontics and Celtics. But it's about to lose. Colchian nobles chasing after the Pontic peltasts. About to run into some difficulties over here with these skirmishers. They are very spread out, so it's going to be hard for missiles to hit them. Meanwhile, the Cappadocian cavalry is wrecking the back lines of Iraklis. The noble blood cavalry got in, is winning decisively because it got the charge. Over here, this noble blood cavalry is not going to like fighting the Cappadocians at all. Pikes, bronze shield pikes, not being cost effective, just losing straight up to Colchian nobles. And now it looks like it's going to be a skirmish kite fest in the end here, because mostly remaining for Pontus. We have a few melee units, but mostly we have these skirmishers. Iraklis also has some eastern slingers, and it looks like he might be able to get some of the Cappadocians off the field, so this is fairly close. The Pontic swords against very spread out Colchian nobles. Colchian nobles just destroying the Pontic swords. Now this is very close. Mercenary Celts looks like they're going to get the charge on the Colchian nobles. A very disorganized charge, but a charge nonetheless. So yeah, the Cappadocians just show their superiority, destroying the noble bloods. Over here as well, the combat is even, but the pikemen are actually chasing down eastern slingers over here. And the Pontic general is doing well. Iraklis' general is standing with his back turned and getting wrecked by the missiles in a weird formation. He's fighting some eastern spears and some mercenary Celts here. So very peculiar formation here. And this is because he's in phalanx that the unit is in such a weird formation. Like some units are over here and some units are over here. But late game cavalry is a factor, and it looks like Pontus is going to have some late game cavalry available. I was about to say late game cavalry, but I'm not going to say that. But these Colchian nobles are beasting it out against the swords of Pontus, and these swords, one of the few units that Colchian nobles can do this well against, are the swords of Pontus. Now, amazingly, noble blood cavalry winning over here, so managing to stop this unit for some time at least could be very, very important. And now Pontus is starting to take a beating, because these repeated charges from Colchian nobles are just doing so much damage to the Pontic swords. You have Pontic swords breaking all across the battlefield. You have Colchian nobles just rushing into the disorganized bronze shield pikes from both sides. The Colchian nobles have been beasting for the entire battle, taken missile fire, and each of them have over or close to 200 kills. It's pretty amazing what these guys have been able to do, considering the pressure they've been under. But it has to be considered that they are up against Pontus. They are up against the swords and the pikes of Pontus, and those are units they do exceedingly well against, with their 30 weapon damage and high armor piercing. Against barbarian swords, things are different, very much so. So here we have the bronze shield pikes losing decisively, starting to waver already, and the cavalry isn't going to be able to make it back in time. So there was a late game cavalry unit for Pontus, but it didn't help them because everything else was dead, basically. And this game was carried by the Colchian nobles, like just immense kills on the Colchian nobles. The slingers got some kills, the Cartleys got some kills, but this was all about the nobles. Cappadocians do well here, but Pontic swords, this Pontus army would have been better in my opinion, had it just brought Celtic warriors and naked warriors. That would have been a stronger Pontic army. And I also think bringing the mercenary Scythian horse archers is a good idea, because you know your horse archers are better than the horse archers of Colchis. So I think, but the main thing, 5 pikes, just look at the kills on the pikes here. When things start going south, it's so hard to micro pikes properly. And one of the reasons why the Colchian nobles got so many kills was because they managed to get into pikes that weren't positioned correctly. So, yeah, pikes, hard to use. Strength and honor.